Hello, and welcome. It is Tuesday at the 3:30 hour, and we have a show, a relationship called Tailored Love. And so with my guest host here today, we have Miss Taylor Wood. Please welcome Taylor Wood.
Hello.
She's back. She's back in action, folks. Miss Taylor Wood from Think Pretty Boutique, talking about relationships here on the RCU Network show.
Oh, yeah.
Coming at you every Tuesday now at roughly the 3 o'clock hour-ish, whatever show.
3:30.
So we're here to talk about relationships, about Taylor's love life, and the things that Think Pretty Boutique has to offer.
Yes, sir.
Do we want to start off? I think we should start off the show with that today.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
So Ms. Taylor Wood is here with one of her unique pieces off her website. So hold on. Well, do you want to go to the other? Do you want to go to the other camera?
Yeah, I'll go to the other camera.
Okay, we're going live to the other camera. So hang in there. Oh, she's taking off the headphones, and she's wearing shorts.
I'm wearing shorts.
So
Don't
don't think anything bad. So this is off the Think Pretty Boutique website. You can purchase this at any point in whatever. So Beverly Hills Leopard. So do you want to describe this piece, Miss?
I mean, I don't know what else there's to really say about it.
Okay, fine. Okay, sit back down. We're gonna get the show started. So if you want to shop anything on Think Pretty Boutique, we're gonna put that up here as Taylor is sitting down. You can actually buy this piece today from Think Pretty Boutique shopthinkpretty.com.
Yes, and if you spend over $50, you get free shipping. Also, if you pair any two items together, you get 15% off your order as well.
So again, that is shopthinkpretty.com. But we're not here for our fashion sense, Miss. What are we here to do?
We are here to talk about love.
Oh boy.
Talk about relationships, the good, the bad, the red, the white, the blue flags, all of the above.
So before we got on the show today, we were talking about different show topics, and Taylor always has something interesting going on. You know, she had a very fruitful, maybe sun-driven weekend on the poolside. Right?
Yes. 4th of July was a very interesting day, let me tell you.
So before we get into that, if you want to go and leave comments or questions, go ahead and put those in the comments section. If you like what you're seeing, might as well hit that like button on YouTube and subscribe to us and watch us every week. Because we got a new like this week, right? We got a new person to logged on the show.
Who?
The person you just told me about before we got on the show.
Oh, yes.
Oh, boy.
Somebody who actually watches came up and said hello and said that they loved the podcast. So shout out to you. You know who you are.
You remember their name?
I do. Eric, if you're watching, hello.
Hashtag thank you, Eric. But we did, before we got on the show, we talked about different things and different aspects about what relationships are. And like I said, Taylor had a very fruitful weekend full of drinks and partying it up. She's 21 and single and out there ready to
mingle, baby.
Maybe mingle-esque, maybe mingle more.
Mingle more.
Heavy mingling.
Yes, heavy mingling is definitely my forte.
So she recently just got invited to Vegas to take a trip. And, we talked about different aspects of the opposite sex or the other person wanting, an exchange of whatever they're wanting and identifying red flags as they come across.
Yes, and how we tend to be a little blind to red flags when you have an attraction to somebody you don't really realize until somebody else points it out for you. Thank you, Robert, for pointing out the red flag in that situation.
So somebody said, hey, Taylor, why don't you come to Vegas and, just blow off a whole weekend?
Yeah, pretty much. And he goes,
And she's contemplating.
I really was. I was like, well, maybe I can see if I can get work off. I don't know. I guess I'll have to see. But I'm already readjusting my schedule to go accommodate this dude.
And so it's fine in one aspect, but the other aspect is she met him once.
Yeah.
And, had some fun. Had some fun once, never called back, didn't get back with you at any reason, but just all the blue an hour ago.
Well, we talked a little bit. We talk a little bit.
She needs to inform me of the rest of the story.
I may have left out a few details. Okay, I just jumped to Vegas.
Because you want to go.
I do. I really want to go.
So, I mean, if there's people out there that have similar inclinations, I think sometimes, in a single position or just even in a desired position, right? It doesn't even have to be that you're single. Sometimes you go for things or overthink situations because you just want to feel that desire, right?
Yeah. You want to feel, what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Wanted, yes.
You want to feel wanted by the person. So when they invite you to go do these things, you're like, oh my God. They thought of me.
Out of all the 50 girls that they just texted.
All the 50 girls that texted, I'm the one.
I'm the one that's responding. Oh,
it definitely, I feel like it definitely takes another perspective from the outside world to kind of like look in on a situation and say, are you sure about that?
Well, I'm not, I mean, as a guy, okay, so your chances as a guy are slimmer than chances as a woman, especially if you're attractive. You know, I would say Taylor's on the attractive scale. So if you want to rate Taylor, I'm just kidding.
Thank you very much.
You know, Taylor's fairly attractive, and, you know, having selection, I think, is available. Would you say that right now that you would have a good amount of people that if you just texted them right now, they'd just show up? They didn't matter where you're at.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah, and you know, and for a guy, I think it's a little bit more challenging. They have to kind of like throw out there, because not all women want to just give it up.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would say, you know, for a guy, from my perspective in my past, not that I like admitting too many things, but you know, for the show, why not? Because Taylor needs the help.
Yeah.
I will admit, you know, there was probably, when I was dating, there was probably a good 10 girls I would just text just to see what kind of response. Because my pull-through rate was only like 1 out of like 100.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit more challenging for a guy. And so the first person that comes up is like, okay, I'll hang out with them.
Yeah.
And then I think you really know the true test is that when you say, okay, yeah, let's meet up, and then he doesn't respond back.
Yeah.
Probably because there's a couple other ones on. He's like, well, which one do I want to hang out with more?
Yeah, that's true. So there's always the more options.
So I got to slap Taylor silly a little bit. Sometimes.
Just a little bit. Need the reality check. Somebody needs to.
So if people want to identify or throw out red flags that they've seen in their relationships or anything, just go and put those in the comments, and we'll kind of react to those. But
yeah, what are some red flags that you think you have, like, after you've been in a relationship, like looking back on it, what do you think are some red flags that you've ignored?
I think the distance part. I think, you know, we have two lives, right? The life that is real and the life we construct in our own heads. And, you know, especially when it comes to the desire of somebody else, we kind of have this misconception of who they are based on, I don't know what, in our own heads.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's the reality part where, okay, they're not texting. I think you really have to identify patterns when it comes to red flags.
Totally.
You know, especially if like you're texting a guy, he's like into you and he's like texting you just about every minute, and then all of a sudden he goes blank, and he goes blank for a couple hours or a couple days. He's not providing a consistent pattern. Of course, we all have lives, and we do have work, and we have other responsibilities. You know, probably going and helping people at the homeless shelter, whatever you're doing.
Right.
But we all have lives, and I think, you know, getting to know somebody is understanding their patterns. You know, and so red flags can appear when they don't follow those patterns.
Yeah. And I mean, I also think it's a red flag if, like, they do kind of go silent for a few days, you know, like they're texting you consistently and then all of a sudden, like, for a few hours they stop, or a few days they stop talking to you. Like, if they wanted to talk to you, they would. Like, if you think about it, when you're texting somebody, it's because you want to text them, and you're responding quickly because you want to talk to them. So when they're not texting you, then they don't want to. Like, and you got to think about those things too. So it's like, if that is a pattern that they're going to go off of, then you need to hear it from them. Like, maybe just like a reassurance text throughout those days that they're not going to be able to like talk as much. Like, hey, I'm just going to be doing these things, so I'm not going to be able to like text you as much, or something like that. But like, if they wanted to, they would. That's a lot of communication there, though. Yeah, you have to have communication. But I think one of the major flags too when it comes to relationships is that feeling of like, something isn't right. I think when you have kind of that gut check, and that's because most likely they're not following that set pattern. Yeah. You know, like, and you do have to account for just time. You know, the longer you're with somebody, the more that cutesy shit at the beginning doesn't really apply like 4 or 5 months from now. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, it's like, okay, well, you know, how many times are you going to say I love you in one text? And it's been like 24 hours since we met, so hello. Yeah. I mean, it literally could be something as simple as like, oh, boy. Hey, I'm going to be driving for a few hours, so I might not be able to text you that much. Like, it can literally just be, I have to work a lot this week. I'm going to be really busy this week, so I'm not going to be able to talk as much. Like, just like the first set of communication is all somebody needs to do to just like, you know, put your mind at ease and then get used to their patterns for it. But if you don't do that, red flag, because if they wanted to talk to you, they would. What's the quickest a guy has ever said I love you to you? I would probably say about 2 weeks in. Keep in mind. 2 weeks? Yes, this was not one of my proudest moments, okay? Not one of my proudest moments. I was in high school, and this guy, I know. My friend.
She is 21, by the way.
I'm 21, so I mean, I'm not that much older, but.
She's only 3 years out of high school.
Back in the day.
I'm more of a back in the day. Yeah. Anyway, so.
So I was in high school, and like all my friends had boyfriends, and so I met this guy who was friends with everybody else in the group, and we went out on one date. No. One date. This is our second time meeting each other. We're sitting in his car talking afterwards, after the date, like getting to know each other, and all of a sudden he's just like, "Will you be my girlfriend?" I'm like, I mean, I guess, like, okay, like this is our second time meeting, but sure thing. And then like literally 2 weeks afterwards, he already said, "I love you." Like things were just moving incredibly fast, which I broke things off pretty quickly after that.
Did you like move in like the next day?
No, oh my gosh. But he did get kicked out of his house at like one point in there. And so I was like, well, I guess like I can see if you can come stay with me for a night. And so he did. And like then another night after that, I think I was still sleeping.
Where did he sleep?
He slept in the guest room. The guest room.
There's another story.
Dad, if you're watching, no, you're not. Anyways.
It's good to bring up these stories like 20 years down the line.
Yeah.
But probably.
Maybe not 3 years down the line.
Not something that happened a week ago.
Yeah. But there was another time when I was like literally just sleeping and I was home and your Snapchat like activity thing goes off after 8 hours if you're not using it. And so I was sleeping in until like.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I was like sleeping in until like noon one day and he's like calling me, freaking out, like texting me a million times, like, "Where are you? What are you doing? Like, I know you're cheating on me." Like just going psycho on me.
I'd say that's a red flag.
Yeah. I was like, "Dude, I'm literally sleeping." He's like, "I don't believe you." He's like, "Why'd you turn your location off?" I was like, "It turns off after 8 hours of inactivity." He's like, "I don't believe you." And that was a red flag if I ever seen one. Next day, broke things off with him.
Oh boy. Mm-hmm. Well, it seemed very escalating very quickly.
Yeah, that's like big, huge red flag. I think the first red flag that I should have probably paid more attention to was him asking me to be his girlfriend on the first date. When
in the first date?
Like after.
Like meeting you?
Like we went to dinner and then we literally went back to his house and just like was sitting in his car for a little bit. Yeah. Just like talking, getting to know each other more. And then he asked me to be his girlfriend and I was like, we literally just met, but okay. I was like, all my friends have boyfriends right now, and I want one, so.
See, it's so easy for women. I will tell you.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Because there's so many needy guys, and again, I'm saying that because I was at that point too. Mm-hmm. You know, I've had my needy moments. You know, yeah. and I think it's so much we suffer from this internal structure. We have to be with somebody. There's just this drive to have an intimate partner. You know, or a boyfriend, a husband, whatever you want to equate it in intimacy with. We have such a drive to do that, and we almost demand it in a way to where it doesn't allow for things to just naturally develop.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, him and I's relationship did not naturally develop at all. I was kind of like forcing it because all my friends had a boyfriend.
Was he cute?
He was cute. He was actually very cute. He was cute. He had a good personality until he turned like psycho.
Well, what I've said before is like, you know, a guy will dismiss all the craziness, the crazy texting, mostly craziness, for how attractive they are. If they're on a 7 to 10 scale, it's like I can forgive a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
But if they're in that like middle range, it's like, oh, I can't deal with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's honestly just crazy how many red flags people ignore when they're just like so blind to it in the beginning. And then like when you look back, you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking?
Because again, I think you just want it bad enough.
Yeah, you really do.
Dismiss your own gut feelings and your own thing, and your own friends too. I think sometimes you'll sacrifice friends just because you want that, because your friends aren't going to be there forever.
Yeah.
You know, then you'll switch friends, but I mean, you'll switch partners far less frequently, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm here with Taylor Wood from Think Pretty Boutique here on a Tuesday talking about relationships. So if you like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit the like button, and we'll answer whatever questions you have, because we're here to talk about relationships and the things that come with relationships.
Yes.
So the one thing we did bring up though is the communication part.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's definitely harder, I think, in this culture for people to communicate. Mm-hmm. You know, and
you think?
I believe so.
Really? Like with all like the technology and social media, you think it's harder to communicate?
I think it's more challenging to be honest with somebody in person.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, in person, yeah, definitely way harder to communicate. I thought you meant like over text.
I mean, I've gotten broken up with over text, and it's like, and not only in personal, but in business too. It's just like, well,
I've been broken up over text too.
Oh, sorry. But we all have, and I think these platforms make it easier to kind of just dismiss somebody.
Yeah.
And the real work comes along with getting to know somebody and knowing their personality and working with them. In the relationship I'm now, most of my job is to understand the other person.
Yeah.
And see where they're coming from and assist them as much as they're here to assist me. And the biggest part of that is actually having a conversation.
Right.
And looking somebody in the face and saying, you know what, I have this problem with you, but really it's not a problem with you. It's a problem I have with myself. Mm-hmm. And I love you enough to work these things out. How can we work on this? Right. So I have this thing that's satisfied with myself and a thing that I can tolerate you with.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think that's hard. And we have our own insecurities. Like you had brought up the whole, breast augmentation. You don't feel secure about your chest and how, I don't know if it's because it's developed or where it's at. What are your thoughts as far as like, where you're at? Is that like a really big insecurity within you?
No, it's nothing like majorly huge. Like I'm not, walking around going, oh my God, I wish I had bigger boobs. Like it's just certain circumstances I wish I did. Like just some of my friends do have bigger boobs. So like when we go out together, I'm like,
Was that because they get more attention?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah, but it's not like life or death situation. Like it's not like I'm literally gonna be unhappy with myself for the rest of my life if I don't get a boob job. It's more just like it's just something I want. Like I want to do it to enhance it.
And I think that comes into play when you're with other people.
Yeah, for sure.
Because usually when you're your partner, that stuff really doesn't apply.
Yeah.
It's usually the other shit that's like, hey, you didn't take out the trash, or hey, you didn't call me, or
right.
Hey, you didn't text me within the 2-hour span that I thought you were going to text me in. It's always something different than just the physicality part of it. And so, the hardest, I think the biggest challenge with relationships is that communication, being honest. The reason I brought up the boob thing for you is it's for a guy, I think the biggest thing is like penis size.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't function or work that well for a female, how do you bring that up? How are you honest?
Yeah.
Because I've come across friends that are like, hey, I was with some guy and his dinky.
His dinky.
And that's probably the hardest thing for a guy to hear. And how do you bring that up? I just can't get over
the dinky.
Oh, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
So you're having a hard time even just talking about it, but.
But no, I get it. Yeah, it's definitely way harder to communicate since you can use your phone to do a lot of stuff. Like it's so much easier to text somebody like if you have an issue about something, but in person, like if it is an issue like that, like how are you supposed to bring it up? Like you have to face them, look them straight in the eye and like tell them that. Like you can't change your words like after you already say it. Like there's no going backsies. Like you can't just backspace if you accidentally say the wrong thing.
That's probably like the kill of death for any guy, I think.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, your thing is kind of small. I can't be with you anymore. And it's just like, I think if you're small, then you realize it. You know it. Mm-hmm. But to have it pointed out, that's just like the kiss of death for any guy to be broken up with.
Do girls really break up with guys like for that? Like, do they tell them that's the reason I'm breaking up with you? Like, I feel like if I was in that situation,
I have been, yes.
I would make up something else.
I have a few friends that, they've told me they've broken up for that reason, but the reason they give in front of somebody else is like, hey, it's just me, it's not you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I think the go-to. It's me, it's not you. Which it really is you.
Yeah.
But, there are things that you can't overcome or can't communicate that make it difficult. And like, how do you approach somebody honestly? I guess at the end of the day, you really have to want to be with somebody to be honest with them.
Yeah.
But also to be able to accept whatever kind of honest response or communication too.
Yeah. Well, my ex-boyfriend, actually, my most recent ex, he, when we were breaking up, he used the whole, it's not you, it's me line. And I was like, you just use that on me? You use that on me? Are you kidding me? Yeah, it turns out he has porn addiction and was sleeping with his ex the whole relationship. So it really was him, not me. So.
What do you think? Do you think part of that's because you're very physical? Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's just 21 or just you as a person. Or it could be a both. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was 21, I was kind of like all over the place.
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
The hormones are like crazy all over the place. You know, and I guess coming back to communication.
Yeah.
Can you honestly or be honest with somebody and still want to be in a relationship with them, even though things aren't functional? Like I said, it's very dismissive. So for a woman, if they think the guy's too small, or like, I'm sorry, I can't be with you. It's me. And they walk away. I guess they really have to be wanting in that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're communicating, like if you have issues you need to address, then communicate it. And like, if it's something that you can't fix or like you just aren't willing to work on, then yeah, like the relationship's over. But if it's something like you can communicate with each other and then like try and work on it or move past it, then.
Do you think that works for guys too? Like,
yeah.
Okay, so if a girl's like a 9 hot out of 10 scale, but she's just crazy, you know, like I said, a guy would be very tolerable of that.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to like a multimillionaire,
yeah,
and he's got a small, you know,
yeah,
is that something you can overcome? You know, given the amount of like stuff and, you know, yachts and cars.
Yeah. I mean, well, if he's got yachts and cars and private jets, then there's always something we can work around. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I do think, I don't know. That is a difficult question because it just really depends on the situation of the relationship. Like, if a girl is a 9 hot and she's batshit crazy, like, can she work on it? Like, is it something that she can try and work on? Like, if he doesn't respond in 5 minutes, is she going to message him like, why aren't you answering me? You know, like going crazy. Like, if he can be communicative with her and try and like work past that and be like, I feel like I don't have like the freedom, or like you're just too clingy or something, but then you can work around it for sure. But like, I don't know. That's where communication is key in that type of situation. Like, you just have to communicate. Like, if something's bothering you in a relationship, just talk about it.
Yeah, and I think both people really have to want the relationship.
Yes. Oh, 100%. If there's like any doubt in a person, then you have to, and you're not willing to work on something, then the relationship's not going to work.
So you could work with somebody with a small package.
Yes. I mean, if I'm happy with the person and, you know, like, I don't know, as long as I'm happy and it's a good relationship, it doesn't really matter, I guess.
The physicality doesn't matter at all?
I mean, it does, but it just really depends on the situation. It really depends. Like, I don't know. It would really depend.
I guess you haven't come across that situation yet where somebody...
No, not really. So I don't know yet.
She's very selective.
Yes.
Oh, boy. So I'm here with Miss Taylor Wood. Think Pretty Boutique, the CEO and owner. She's here not only to sell her clothing line, but she has it for sale on her website.
Think Pretty Boutique, everybody.
But we're here to talk about relationships and the things that are entailed with all of them. So we've talked about red flags. We've talked about communication. Turn that off real quick. But at the end of the day, you know, again, what a relationship is between two people. Mm-hmm. And the challenging part is how to effectively talk with one another.
Yeah. And
are you willing and wanting to overcome those issues? You know, so I guess both of you have to be very present with each other.
Definitely.
And it's so hard in this culture to, you know, dismiss somebody and go Snapchat somebody else or find somebody else.
It's so easy to do that. Like, if you're over your relationship, like, people would rather just like cheat and face the consequences rather than just like break up with the person.
Well, do you think cheating is just a result of like you almost cheat to have the other person find out so they break up with you, so that you don't take on the ownership of having to break up the relationship?
Yeah. That's a tricky one. I really don't know.
Have you cheated on somebody?
No, I haven't. But I have been cheated on in every relationship I've been in. So, I don't know.
Are you a one person kind of thing? Have you ever explored like kind of different relationships?
No, I've never dated like multiple people at once. Like, I haven't really experienced the dating.
Admittedly, I have too. Well, I did. I did. The most I've ever dated was 3 people at once, and that's really challenging because your emotions tend to gravitate towards one or the other, and you feel bad, you know, and you're always making excuses. You're always kind of being elusive, and it's almost like you're living. Well, in that case, it was 3 lives.
Like a triple life.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel good. There's, I think with relationships, there's always that absence. And I think with a pairing or a partner, you combine because you're filling each other's needs in some way. not that you need that person, but you really desire to be them. And again, they're filling a gap within yourself. And when you're lost, I think, in a way, and you're constantly looking for different things, it's because you find something nice in somebody, but it's not the whole picture or the whole package.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is like somebody can seem like the full package, but there's that 1% that's going to be.
Well, there's always somebody in somebody else, right? There's always somebody that has
that's what I was trying to say.
Better pecs. There's always somebody that has, a slimmer body. There's always somebody that has a greater advantages, and greater mind, more money. There's always something that somebody else carries that you're like, well, if I'm with this person, I like this other person too for different reasons. And it does take a lot of work internally to make that decision and say, I'm only going to be with this one person. Yeah. Because our hardwire just goes all over. For a guy, our hardwire just goes every direction.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's okay to date around, like date other people at the same time, as long as the people like know that you're doing that and they're okay with it. Like if you tell them, if you explain to them, this is where communication comes in again. Oh, they didn't. Okay. Well, way to go. But I feel
you don't want to ruin the other one.
That's true. I feel like that's where communication comes into play again, even in this type of situation. Like if you're not ready to settle down and have just one relationship and you're like, hey, listen, like I'm seeing a few other people, I'm dating around, like I'm not looking for anything serious, but we can try it out, see where it takes us. Like just be open about it and communicative, because it's going to be so much easier than just like hiding in the secret the whole time and like trying to balance 3 girls at once. Like,
have you seen The Bachelor?
Yes.
Why is that show so popular?
I could not tell you. I really don't watch it.
It's typically one guy or one girl. And for some reason, the one guy seems more acceptable than the one girl because, she's dating multiple, or he's dating multiple people, kissing multiple people, having, sex with, I'm sure they don't show it on the show, but they allude to it. Yeah. And it's okay. Our culture accepts that in that format, in that framework, it's okay. Yeah. But when it comes to like real life, it's like, oh, well, he was seeing 20 other women. Yeah. How dare you want to go out with him? Like, well, The Bachelor, I mean, that guy's dating 20 other people.
Well, it's because the girls know that he's seeing other girls. So.
Oh, that's
they know what they signed themselves up for this. Like they're aware of what's going on.
Hey, Taylor, I'm dating somebody else. Want to date me? I mean, is that okay? Is that acceptable?
I know, like, how would you even bring that kind of conversation up?
I know we're meeting and for the first time, and I want to go out with you this time. I'm seeing somebody else.
I'm also seeing somebody. Like, how do you even? Yeah.
It's cool because I watched The Bachelor. You watched The Bachelor too, right?
Yeah.
See, it's so weird how our culture kind of adopts these things under certain formats, but in other certain circumstances, it doesn't really apply.
Yeah, I know. It's very interesting. It's just like communication is such a key factor in any type of relationship.
Do you think you could be honest? Do you think in your heart of hearts you could be honest? Yeah. Without being malicious? Yeah. Because it's such a fine bridge to kind of cross where, somebody hurts you. Like I think in order for you to be honest, you also have to be able to receive honesty.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And be also subject to perspective, because the way somebody feels may not come across too well. And in past relationships, I've had people blow up in my face. Well, what did you mean? You didn't mean that. And they're trying to control for this situation because they feel that I'm trying to break up. Yeah. And so they start a fight trying to like control the results of whatever it is. Yeah. Obviously, I'm breaking away and they don't want me to break away. So they start a fight.
Yep. That sounds about right. That's what I did with my ex. I was the one who actually initiated the breakup. Sorry, I keep bringing this situation up, but it's really fitting in with the topic. So, I initiated the breakup first, and just because I wasn't happy anymore, and he would not communicate to me like about it, like at all. It like 3 days passed. Keep in mind we were living together, so we were with each other every day, and he was just so distant. Like, I was like, so are you going to, talk to me about what I told you the other day? Did I really want to break up with him? No, I just wanted to get a reaction out of him to try and see a difference with it. But that's on me for not communicating what I was feeling. And if I would have done that sooner, well, I don't know, because I have, I've brought things up before and they didn't change. So, but then it switched. And then all of a sudden he was the one who wants to break up now because he felt me pulling away. And I think he got insecure. And then it's like this whole thing. Now he wants to break up, and I'm like, what? No. So.
Yeah, I think you really come to understand relationships, but it's like later on in life.
Yeah, no, seriously.
I got married at 21, and that wasn't the. Sheesh. it wasn't the smartest thing to do at the time, but as I look back now, it was like one of the best things to learn. It was a good learning lesson. That's you know, it didn't result in the way, you know, you go into it with love and these high aspirations about that other person and what you're building, you know, and with that other person, we had a couple of houses, a couple of cars, and we were doing so well in life. It's just, I think both of us were unhappy. Yeah. With ourselves, and not necessarily with the other person. You know, my ex decided to go with somebody else, and it kind of left me. Yeah. Which is fine, and I am appreciative of that because I was able to discover a whole new me after that. You know, so I'm very thankful for the experience. But shit, it was a hard thing to go through, and
for sure.
At the bottom of it was not being honest. I was finally honest with her. I will say, the day that. So I drank about a half bottle of vodka, got in the car. I was so mad, and I went there and I stayed in the house. She wasn't there. She was out with, you know, whoever. And I was just there, just drinking, just reevaluating who I am, because when you break up in that situation, you really try to figure out who you are again. Yeah. And I'm just sitting there, and she came home, and I was just so distraught. I wasn't arguing. I wasn't frustrated. I was just present. And I think looking back, that's what she wanted of me. Yeah. To be more present, because I'm busy like crazy. Yeah. But that was the first time in, I think, 7 or maybe about 8 to 9 years, because I was married for 12, that I was just completely honest. Really? And it felt good. Yeah. Even though the whole world was coming to an end, you know, like that marriage, the house, and everything else was just coming to a flat end. Yeah. It just felt good to kind of just say, you know what?
Get everything out.
I didn't do it maliciously. I didn't do it in a way where I was like pointing the finger, you did this. Yeah. It's just like, hey, this is how I felt. And I've been meaning to tell you this for a long time. And that was the first moment that I felt that being honest and just being flat out, you know, without maliciousness, without saying, hey, you did this, that there was a good sense of like just this burden lifted off. Yeah. It was crazy. It was a crazy moment. And I think about that a lot, you know, like that's how I should be with every relationship. Yeah. Even friends.
Do you think looking back on that relationship, if you were honest from the start, like rather than keeping it in for all those years, do you think the relationship would have ended differently?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think if I was more honest, I would have been more strong for myself. Yeah. If I was more strong for myself, I probably would have given her the sense of security that she really needed. You know, and I think women want that more than men. Men want stability where women want security.
Yeah, totally.
You know? Yeah. They just want a girl not to be crazy, and then women don't want a guy to leave them.
Yeah. No, exactly.
To stay home and to provide and be present. And so I think, you know, in that learning, that very finite moment, it was about a 2-hour conversation. Just let it go.
Just let it all out.
Yeah.
And then was the relationship just over from there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it took 12 years and then a breakup. And there was other factors too. But that was the moment for me that I could really reflect back and say, you know what, being honest and without wanting to hurt the other person, just being flat out honest with my feelings and more with myself. Yeah. That made the relationship. That kind of sealed and ended things for me. Wow. Because I wasn't going back. Good. And then plus she stayed with the guy. So she ended up marrying the other guy. Okay. So I mean, it was by default, I couldn't go back anyway.
Even if you wanted to. Yeah. But no, definitely communication is a big key factor. And that's just proving it pretty much, as if you hold everything in to the very end, like the relationship's going to go to shambles. Yeah. And then the other person's going to, you know,
go and I think as you learn how to be more honest with yourself. Yeah. And then be able to convey that in language. Because, I mean, there's a lot of people that will see you being honest and then want to control that, want to push you back and say, no, you know, F you, you did this. And it does take a lot of, like, emotional strength to, like, hey, stop. Right. You know, and listen to yourself. You're out of control. This is exactly why I'm breaking up with you. Yes. So I appreciate your time. Thank you. Yep. You know, I'm going to go find somebody else to mess with and to go down on.
Yeah. So I think, or what was I going to say? Hang on.
Communication.
Red
flags.
Yes. I was going to say something. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yes. Okay. Do you think if you are honest with somebody and you have the communication with them and you express to them, hey, this is what's wrong with our relationship, and I think if you fix X, Y, Z, our relationship will be stronger. What do you think about that?
I don't know if there's a fix though.
Yes, but what if they are willing to work on it and they're going to try and change something?
But see, I think there should be changes, but of themselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You should be able to bring up these issues and say, hey, this is where I'm at in life. This is what I want of my life. And this is where I think we can meet in the middle, mm-hmm. the relationship, or AKA the relationship.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you should change who you are. Mm. I don't think you should change what you want and your desires. I think those will be molded by the person you're with. Because if they're insecure, then obviously the pursuits that you have and the desires you have will be somewhat kind of drawn to that insecurity. Right. So, for instance, if you go out and you want to be at an event, they're going to be like, well, no, I don't want you to go. Mm-hmm. I want you to be home with me, because if you go out there, you might meet somebody else. And it'll be contemplating in your mind. You're like, okay, do I stay home with this person because they feel insecure, or do I go out and be part of what my passion is, where I want to be? Mm-hmm. So obviously that connection or that person will kind of mold that in a way.
Yes.
So you have to be somewhat conscious of who you select.
Right.
And if it's too much, if it's overwhelming, or if it doesn't align with your passion and who you are, then unfortunately you have to kind of dismiss that. Mm-hmm. But if they recognize that, hey, I'm an insecure person and I need to work on these things in my life, and I see where you're at and I want to be there with you, but I have this issue that I'm trying to work on. I'll go to counseling. I'm going to read some books. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try and figure this out for myself because I want to be there with you.
Yes.
I think that's the person that you decide you want to be with, but you can't change anybody. You can't give them a framework like, you have to change these X, Y, Z in order to be with me. Right. They have to want to themselves.
Yeah, no, totally.
Because this is like, again, choosing your life and your path is on you, because that person, guess what? Chances are that dude's going to die.
Yes, yeah.
He's going to die sooner than you, and you're going to be left. And I've seen, like my mom, for instance, my dad passed in December and she's kind of left alone. She's got a good 25 years of life left. That's a lifetime.
Yeah.
And now she has to refigure that out. If she would have figured that out earlier in life, she can just bounce right into it and continue on.
Right.
But when you make your life into somebody else, then that's not necessarily healthy for the relationship.
Yeah. That reminds me a lot.
Much less the other person.
What?
What? Remind you what?
That reminds me of the situation that just happened with my friend actually on the 4th of July. Yeah. Her and her boyfriend have been together for about a year and a half, and they've had some issues around it, and she says that she's lost a lot of friends since they've started dating because of his red flags that she was blind to, and just always being like so intertwined with each other and just like with each other all the time. And so at the 4th of July, they she's talked to him about this multiple times, like she should be allowed to talk to another guy without him getting upset about it. Like not flirting. They were not flirting at all. They were literally having a conversation because it's a friend of a friend. Like they were just trying to get to know each other.
Yeah.
So this guy starts like freaking out when he sees them two talking, and he like gets up in this guy's face. Like, I feel very disrespected right now. Like you're talking to my girlfriend. And, it's just like so many red flags that she was blind to just like coming out, and she was finally like seeing them, and she really morphed her life around it. And now they broke up on the 4th of July. She was like, you know what, I'm done. Like I see everything now. Like, cause I was like, I've never seen it before. And now that I saw it, I was like, that's not okay for him to talk to you like that. Like the way he was treating her and acting. And, she's talked to him about it before. He says that he's going to change and doesn't. And so now they broke up, and now he's messaging her saying, do you have any good suggestions for like therapy or counselor? Because I think I'm going to go into it. Like, I think I have a problem now. Like, it's always after the relationship when somebody's willing to work on the things that.
Well, see, and I think if he's telling her those things, he's projecting it to get her back.
Yes, exactly.
If he really wanted to do it, he would just do it.
Right. Like, why do you have to tell her that you're going to do it? Just go and do it if you really want to do it for yourself. But he's trying to morph his life around hers to try and become this person that she wanted the whole time that he wasn't willing to be. And the relationship was just doomed from then on. Yeah. I'm assuming, because if he had these issues that she's brought up to him more than once and he still wasn't willing to fix them or at least work on them, what are you supposed to do?
I don't know. Until next time, though.
Yeah.
So we're here with Ms. Taylor Wood from Think Pretty Boutique. That's our segment out of here because we're over 10 minutes. We're at...
wait, what?
We've been talking about 40 minutes now.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to be wrapping up today's show. So if you have any comments or questions regarding what we're talking about, red flags, communication, go ahead and put those in the comments section. Love us, like us, whatever you need to do on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Twitch and...
all of the above.
All the above.
Drop down your the biggest red flag that you have ignored in somebody in the comments below.
And we'll address it next week.
Yes.
Oh, lost it.
Oh.
We're back. So tune in next week. We're going to be here next Tuesday around whatever time this is.
Yeah, like 3.
And we're going to be talking about relationships and the things that come on. So again, thank you, Ms. Taylor Wood.
Thank you.
From Think Pretty Boutique for coming on board today, showing us about love, life, and the things that encompass relationships.
All right.
Until next week.
Till next week, we'll see if I go to Vegas, everybody.
Oh, shit. Look out for Taylor in Vegas. See you guys next week.
Bye.